Hi there, this is Teresa Eicher with Counseling and Wellness Services of Archbold. We are in partnership with Jill Holgrave Wellness Consulting. And I just wanted to take some time today to talk a little bit about life, the pace of life, prioritizing, and maybe just help with some clarity within that. So often I hear people talking about just the pace of life being very busy, very chaotic. We tend to have very full lives with a lot of different things that we're involved in. And what I tend to find is that in each of those arenas, whether it's a role that we're playing or an activity that we're participating in or something that our kids are involved in or other family members are, what I tend to find is that we are trying to give 110, 120, 150% in all these different arenas and roles of life, which obviously we are really just overextending ourselves and likely setting ourselves up for failure and feeling like we're maybe not doing enough or not doing it well enough. And we really make that difficult to achieve when we're stretched in so many areas. So sometimes people will come in and they'll say, how do I simplify this? Like, what do I do? How do I make this work? And one of the things that I really encourage them to do is just start by doing some reflection, kind of doing some evaluation, like, okay, when I envision my life, what are the highest priorities? And what are the highest roles that I play? And so really kind of like identifying that. And so maybe that is, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm, a social worker or a teacher or, whatever that is. Maybe I'm a Christian, maybe I'm a coach, but just kind of like looking at these different arenas in which we play roles. And, listing out 5 to 7 areas where we feel like these are roles that are pretty heavy within our lives. So, first start by doing that. And then what I want you to do is, as we identify these different arenas, I want you to start really thinking about the more intricate details. So if I'm, assisting my kids in, being in activities, and I'm supporting and encouraging and facilitating that, but maybe I'm also helping other kids get to different places at the same time that my child's going to. And so I'm gonna like itemize that out, right? I'm gonna, put the details in of what it is that I do in that role and all the different pieces and parts to it, just so that we can get a good reflection of what that role actually entails. So if I'm a social worker, I'm going to detail out that I see clients, and that part of seeing clients is that I need to physically feel good and I need to be able to take care of myself. I need to think about the number of hours a day that I do those roles. I need to think about the paperwork that's involved with that and the filing that goes with that and the phone calls that go with that and the emails that go with that and the text messages that go with that. And, is that included in my face-to-face time hours with my clients, or is that done behind the scenes and other hours, and when does that happen? So really just kind of itemizing those pieces out. And then I want you to kind of think about how much time does this actually take? How much time does this actually take day to day? How much time does this take week to week, month to month? Like, what does this actually look like as it relates to my schedule? How have I prioritized these things? I think one of the things that you might find is that we underestimate how much time actually goes into a lot of things that we do. We might be so caught up in the hustle bustle and the pace of things that, we don't really allot the amount of time that we're actually in need of, because many times we end up having distractions happen, right? So, maybe I'm at the office and, someone pops in to say hello and just chat a little bit, right? But the truth is that 10 minutes took away from the time that I had already allotted for something that I was doing. Now, would I shoo the person away next time? No, but I have to, consider that the next time. When I look at my schedule, I have to consider, like, maybe I need to build in a buffer here of 20 to 30 minutes in my day before I move on to the next thing, just in case someone pops in and I want to be able to talk with them. Then maybe I'm ahead of the game if they don't actually do that, and I could fill that in with something else. So often as people start doing this evaluation, some of what they talk about is they realize that they've been filling their time with busy things that we have to do, but things that are also not really where our values lie, things that are not really where our heart lies, right? So if I have chores that need to be done in my home, and the option is chores or spending time with my child, what do I choose? Well, I go back and I look at, well, what are my values? And that doesn't mean that my child maybe gets all of it, but maybe my child gets the first part of it. So if I've kind of allotted 2 hours or maybe an hour, if I'm more realistic, maybe I give my child the first 30 minutes and then I'm like, okay, so there's also busy stuff. Or maybe I give my child the first 30 minutes and then I'm like, hey dude, come on over. We've got some laundry to do. Help me sort this, right? Because there's value in teaching my child these life skills as we have to do these chores. Or, hey, we've got laundry to put away, and so come help me with this. And so I still get meaningful time with my child, and yet they're learning, and, we're connecting as well. So I think as we kind of break things down, we look at these roles, and we need to make sure that our roles are in a good hierarchy. So when we look at it and we see that maybe number 5 on my list is actually getting more time than my number 1 on my list, I have a role reversal there. And so I need to look at my schedule and I need to organize things in such a way where I can say, okay, that shouldn't be 1, that should actually be 5. So how do I need to adjust this to reflect that 1 is more of a priority than what 5 is? And then we adjust. But none of it happens by chance. All of it happens by being intentional. All of it happens by intentionally sitting down, writing the different roles out that are most meaningful, most consistent with your values, being detailed in that of what they actually entail, looking at how much time we actually probably need to figure in for that, looking at how that's structured within our schedule, how we allow the day-to-day busy things to come into it. So often people will say to me, I get all of the busy things done. I do, it's taken care of. But it's because those busy things are on fire, and these other roles that I really want to play that are most meaningful to me, they're not on fire. There are things that maybe I can progressively do, but the other stuff is so hot that I don't actually get there. And so making sure that we maybe allot some time for the busy stuff, and yet our day is centralized around the roles that we really, really, truly want to embody in life. So just some thoughts to consider. Pull out that paper. Let's put pen to paper. Let's start being intentional and kind of reorganizing things. We're moving into a new season. We're moving into summer. And so a lot of times, people really want to maximize that time outside. They really want to maximize that family time, that downtime. So I just encourage you, let's be intentional before we move into summer, and let's really create a summer and a structure that works well for us in this season. All right, I hope you're well, and I will talk with you soon.